I was having a conversation with one of my cousins who I'm going to go see tomorrow. And I was having this conversation with him about a year ago. Because we're visiting him, the conversation kind of just came to the forefront of my mind. But he told me, man, I gotta start a business. I gotta do something else. I don't want to work in the fields anymore. I don't want to do what I've been doing. And man, I feel like I've wasted my 20s now that I'm 30. And I felt so bad for him because it's such a sad thing to think that way. Like to look back at your life and like, man, I wasted my 20s and now I'm 30. That's 10 years. That's a 10-year gap. The thing with that is that it's not very rare for people to think that way. I think a lot of people feel that way. I think a lot of people today feel like they're falling behind. The problem with that is most people that want to do something else, they feel it. Like they feel it in their bones. Man, I know I'm supposed to be doing something else. I'm not supposed to be at this shitty job doing this, cleaning toilets or doing whatever you're doing. I know I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be doing something else. And then they tell themselves, you know what, I'm gonna start looking. I'm gonna start doing some research. They get to the research phase and they find what they want to do. Even though it's not aligned with exactly what they see themselves doing, as long as it's gonna get them out of where they're at, the hamster wheel that they're currently in, as long as it's gonna get them out of there, they're good. So then it's time to actually do the work. They always make up some sort of scenario of why they can't start right now and why starting in a month or 6 months or a year down the road, it's going to be much better to start than starting now. Man, if I started now, it would be tragic. But if I start in 6 months, it's going to be smooth sailing. And they couldn't be further from the truth. When you want to do something, you need to just get started. I know it's easy to say, like, just get started. But if you literally just start, just take that first step in the right direction, just take that first step towards the direction you want to go, you will look back 3 months later and thank yourself for taking that first initial step. Because if people are nuts, like people think that, man, in 6 months, it's going to be perfect for me to start. You have no clue what's going to be happening in 6 months. You have no clue if you're going to be in a worse position in 6 months. And then in 6 months, you're like, man, I should have started 6 months ago. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to constantly be putting that off. Because then you're going to look back when you're 30, you're 40, you're 50. You're like, man, wasn't I going to start a job? Wasn't I going to start a business and leave this job? Wasn't I going to do something more with my life? Well, fuck, I guess I better get back to washing these dishes. And you're still in the same place. You never left. You never grew. You never got uncomfortable. You never pursued that thing that you wanted to pursue, that you knew deep down in your fucking bones that you should not be here. You should be pursuing something else. But it starts small. It's not this big thing that you're going to be like, man, I'm just going to put it off a little bit. It starts small. It grows incrementally. You putting it off for a month, well, once that month comes, you're like, man, I already put it off 1 month. Maybe I should put it off next month. I got this vacation coming up, so maybe after the vacation. And 1 month turns into 1 year, which turns into 5 years, and you never do it. If you want to do something, the last thing that you want to do, if there's something that you want to do, a business you want to pursue, you want to get in shape, you want to get a new job, you want to promote within your current job, you want to learn a different way to make money, you want to learn a skill, whatever the fuck it is, the last thing you want to do is wait for a different date or different circumstances to start. I know it's easy to say this. I know it's easy to just say, just get started, right? But it's literally that simple. You don't have to figure out the business by tomorrow. But if you can be one step closer to that business by tomorrow, or 1% more knowledgeable on that business that you want to start by tomorrow, and you keep doing that day in and day out, in 3 months, you will thank yourself for not putting it off to a later date. And you will be drastically farther ahead than you ever thought possible. Don't fall into that same cycle that so many people look back at their life and they never got off that cycle. The hamster wheel of life that so many people never got off of. And then you look back when you're 30 or 40 or 50, and you're like, how am I still here? Don't be that person. You're gonna feel so much worse if that is you. You're gonna feel 10 times worse looking back 10 years. Man, I should have started when I was 20. I shouldn't have put it off that month because that month turned into 5 years. And now I'm even more out of shape, or now I'm in even a worse financial position. You will regret it, and it will be harder for you to start because now you might be in a completely different situation than you are today. And regardless of what situation you're in, whether you got kids, whether you got a wife, a lot of people say, do all of these things before you have a family. I started in business with 2 kids, mortgage, 2 car payments, loans, and debt. And if I would have waited till my kids were a certain age, if I would have waited to pay off my debt, if I would have waited to pay off my cars, I'd still be back at the sheriff's office running traffic. Don't wait until a later time in the future to demand the absolute best out of yourself. It's gonna fucking suck. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be uncomfortable, but it's gonna be a whole lot less uncomfortable than looking back at your life 10 years from now and wishing you started today.